Ever thought that Bactrian camels store water in their humps? Well, you're not alone, but boy, are we about to burst your bubble. You see, Bactrian camels, those majestic creatures with twin humps gracing their backs, have been the center of a rather amusing misunderstanding. They're often credited with the ability to store water in their humps, as if they're some sort of living, breathing water bottles. But in reality, that's not quite the case. The truth is, those humps are not filled with water but fat. Yes, you heard it right, fat. These humps are the camel's very own survival snack pack. When the pickings are slim in the harsh desert environment and food becomes scarce, the camel taps into this fatty reservoir to keep itself going. Think of it like this. Imagine going on a long hike. You got your backpack filled with snacks, granola bars, trail mix, maybe a sandwich or two. The journey gets tough, you're hungry, and there's no food in sight, so what do? You reach into your backpack and pull out a snack. That's precisely what a camel does with its humps. It's like having a convenience store strapped to your back, always ready to provide sustenance when you need it the most. But what about water, you ask? Well, Bactrian camels are indeed remarkable water conservationists. They can drink up to 30 gallons of water at a time, and their bodies are incredibly efficient at retaining it. But the water is stored in their bloodstream, not their humps. So there you have it. The hump of a Bactrian camel is not a magical water tank, but a stash of fatty snacks, ready to fuel the camel when food is hard to come by. So next time you're thirsty in the desert, don't look at a camel's hump for a drink unless you fancy a gulp of fat. Scene script. Think all camels live in hot, sandy deserts? Think again. As the curtain of misconception parts, let's dive into the intriguing world of the Bactrian camel. Often we picture camels as sunbathing, sand-surfing beasts, don't we? But oh, how the tables have turned. Our two-humped friend, the Bactrian camel, would rather swap a sand dune for a snow mound any day. Yes, you heard it right. Unlike their one-humped cousins, the dromedaries who prefer their habitat hot and sandy, the Bactrian camels are cold desert natives. These creatures are the living embodiment of the saying, adapt or perish. They hail from the chilling deserts of Central Asia, where temperatures can dip below freezing and the landscape is more frozen than Aladdin. Picture a snowman, but instead of a carrot nose and a top hat, it's got two humps and a shaggy coat. That's our Bactrian camel, well equipped to brave the harsh winter conditions. Their thick, woolly fur isn't just for making a fashion statement, it's a vital survival tool, providing insulation against the biting cold. And when summer rolls around, they shed this heavy coat, proving they're always ready for a seasonal wardrobe change. But it's not just about the fur. Bactrian camels have a unique set of physiological adaptations that allow them to thrive in these cold deserts. Their humps, contrary to popular belief, store fat and not water, providing energy when food is scarce. And their broad, tough feet? Well, they're not just for show. They prevent the camels from sinking into the snow, much like a pair of natural snowshoes. So let's shatter the stereotype of camels as mere ships of the desert. The Bactrian camels are more like snowplows of the steppes, conquering cold deserts with an admirable resilience. So, if you're planning a snowball fight, invite a Bactrian camel. They're more than just sand dune surfers. Do you believe that there's only one species of camel? Well, prepare to have your mind blown. Just when you thought you knew everything there was to know about camels, here comes a twist. The camel world is not as simple as it may seem. Much like an intriguing detective novel, there's a case of mistaken identity that we need to solve. The myth that there's only one species of camel, consider it debunked. In the grand scheme of the animal kingdom, camels have two clans, the Bactrian camel and the dromedary camel. And no, they aren't just identical cousins with different last names. They are as different as chalk and cheese, or should we say humps and, well, more humps. Think of the Bactrian and the dromedary as the twins of the camel world. But here's the catch. They've got different hairdos. The Bactrian camel sports a fabulous double-hump do, while the dromedary camel struts around with a single hump. It's a bit like one sibling deciding to rock a mohawk while the other sticks to a classic bob. And while we're on the subject of humps, let's clear another misconception. Those humps aren't filled with water. They're actually fat storage units, providing sustenance when food and water are scarce. So, the next time you're looking at a camel, remember that you're basically looking at a walking, grunting storage unit. So, there you have it. Two species of camels, each with its own unique characteristics and style. The Bactrian camel with its two humps, and the dromedary camel with its one hump. Two different species, two distinct identities, yet often mistaken for one another. But remember, just as we humans take pride in our individuality, so do these camels. They might be part of the same family, but each has its own charm and persona. So the next time you see a camel, take a moment to appreciate its uniqueness. Is it a Bactrian flaunting its double hump, or a dromedary showing off its single hump? Remember, not all camels are created equal. Some have an extra hump to show off. Ever heard the saying, "I'm so mad I could spit"? Well, it seems camels took it quite literally. Picture this, you're at a petting zoo minding your own business when suddenly a camel seems to, well, spit at you. An understandable reaction might be to think, wow, that camel must really not like me. But let's put the brakes on that idea. What if I told you that camels aren't actually expressing their distaste for you, but rather, they're just trying to say, "Give me some space, please." Yes, it's true. When camels spit, they're not just letting loose a mouthful of saliva. Oh no, that would be far too simple. Instead, they're regurgitating their stomach contents. That's right, folks. That spit you're dodging is partially digested food from their stomach. A little gross, I know, but let's face it, it's also kind of fascinating. Now you might be wondering, why on earth would they do that? Well, it's not because they're angry, contrary to popular belief, it's more about defense. Imagine a child sticking out their tongue at someone they don't like. It's not the most sophisticated defense mechanism, but it gets the message across, doesn't it? That's exactly what camels are doing. They're not spitting because they're mad, they're spitting to say, hey, I'm uncomfortable here. Back off. So next time you're at the petting zoo, and you see a camel spitting, don't take it personally. It's not about you. It's about the camel asserting its space, its comfort zone. It's the camel's way of saying, hey, I need a little room to breathe here. In conclusion, the notion of the spitting angry camel is not only unfair but also scientifically inaccurate. It's about time we let go of this myth and see these creatures not as spiteful spitters, but as animals simply trying to communicate their boundaries in the only way they know how. So if a camel spits at you, don't take it personally, they're just saying, back off, buddy. So, we've busted some hump-sized myths today, haven't we? Let's do a quick gallop down memory lane, shall we? We started off with the hump conundrum, where we learned that camels don't store water in their humps. Nope, not a single drop. Those humps are actually filled with fat, acting as a sort of snack pack for our double-humped friends when food is scarce. So, the next time you're feeling a little peckish, just remember the Bactrian camel and its walking buffet. Then we moved on to the desert native misconception. Despite their reputation as desert dwellers, Bactrian camels actually hail from the cold deserts of Central Asia. They've got a thick coat of fur to keep them warm, and they can withstand temperatures as low as 40 below zero. So, if you ever spot a camel making snow angels, don't be too surprised. We also tackled the two species mix-up. Remember, not all camels are created equal. Bactrian camels have two humps, while their Arabian cousins only have one. And no, they can't lend a hump to their one-humped relatives. Each species has its own special set of adaptations that make them perfectly suited to their unique environments. And who could forget the camel's spitting image? Yes, camels do spit, but it's not because they're rude or have a personal vendetta against you. It's actually a defense mechanism. So next time a camel hawks a loogie your way, just take it as a compliment. They must think you're a threat. In the end, it's clear that the Bactrian camel is a creature full of surprises. They've got more up their humps than most of us ever imagined. So let's give a hoof-stomping applause for these misunderstood animals. Remember, Bactrian camels are more than just desert dwellers with quirky humps. They're fascinating creatures with a knack for survival. And next time someone tells you a camel myth, you'll be ready to spit out the facts.